For some reason, YouTube is not yet broadcasting episode number 5 in HD. I did load it up as 1080p, 60 frames per second, as per usual, but last time I checked, they just had it at very low res. I've noticed that sometimes they take quite a while to get it right. I don't know why that is. I used to think it had to do with the length of the video, but I'm beginning to think it just, I don't know, luck of the draw, I guess. So this morning, I'm thinking to myself, how could have I made that stupid mistake yesterday and not got the grain to line up when I pressed this together? And so I'm looking at this thing and I'm thinking, well, maybe I was looking at this one right here. And as you can see, it lines up. And so I thought, well, if I pull this apart, how can I put it together so it'll all line up properly? And there is no way it will line up. If I get this one lined up with this one, then this one's not going to be lined up with this one, if you know what I mean. There's just no way it's going to work. However, I will show you how I sometimes pull these apart if I can't do it by hand. And what you do is you take your pen apart as much as you can, and I've got a set of punches here. Now, the only place that you can conveniently go in would be like you pick the largest hole, okay, and that would be this one right here. So what you do is you try to find the one that will fit. Okay, that's too big. That's too big. This almost fits, but not quite. Okay, so it's this one. So then what you want to do is you will feel that when you push this in, it kind of catches on this piece right here. Unfortunately, when they manufacture these punches, they round it over the corner. So that means you have to take, and I haven't done that with this one yet, obviously, and you touch it to the grinder and you square it off so that it's at a right angle. Okay? Then it will catch better on the little coupler that's inside there. Now, I'm not going to bother doing all that. The reason being is that, like I say, I realize that no matter how I press it back together, it's still not going to be perfect. Now, that begs another question. How do you get it so it is perfect? And as I was mentioning yesterday, that if the holes that you drill through your individual blanks after you cut it off are not in the exact same location relative to each other and relative to the grain, when you do a slimline kit or any kit where this one here is going to be the same diameter as this one, it's just not going to work out anyway. You're just going to lose no matter what you do. So I was mentioning yesterday, well, why not take and drill the hole first before you cut it in half? And I was thinking, well, I could use my metal lathe because I sort of did that once before. One of the viewers also thought the same thing. I don't know if I'm going to try that today yet or not, but the idea would be you drill the hole all the way up, as long as it has to be, then cut the blanks off the right length. Then the holes can't help but be in the right place. I hope you're understanding what I'm trying to say here. I guess yesterday I was so busy fooling around switching lenses and stuff like that. It's possible that I could have got this a little better, but I don't think so. So I'm not going to bother taking it apart. Anyway, what I would have done is you would take your punch, mount it in here, something like that, or mount it in anything that's solid. Then very, very carefully you would grab hold of this very carefully, okay? And there's several things that can go wrong here. First of all, you can squeeze your blank too hard and you're going to crack the wood. Or this can slip and it will mark the wood. Anyway, what you would do then is you would put this on. Well, in this case, I'd have to go like this and have to try and not damage the clip. And you go down, and then you would take a little hammer and tap like here, rock first this way, then rock this way, you know what I'm trying to say? And as I said yesterday, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Yeah. Now I fully realize I should be turning down the other 4 sets today. However, when I start thinking about something, I just gotta do it. You know, they say curiosity killed the cat. Well, anyway, here we go. So these 2 blanks here are for the pen kit. They're the longest ones. If you remember the pencil, the blanks were a little shorter. So we'll take the 2 longest ones here. And if I was to drill in until the flutes almost disappear, it should be long enough. I was going to put a little piece of tape on here, but I can see that it'll be real obvious when I get to the end of the flutes. Well, just don't try to force it in anymore. Mind you, it'd probably go in anyway. But I don't want to go right through and out the other side, because I don't want to be getting, as I mentioned, 3 or 4 months ago or whenever it was, I think it was when I was doing the Emperor kit. I don't want to go through the other side and end up getting sawdust inside my chuck. So I'll just go part way in, and that should be enough. And then I can just cut it right here and cut it right here. And hopefully, well, in fact it will be, it can't help but be, the hole will be in exactly the right place on both sides, because it's the same hole. Now the original plan was to use the metal lathe in the 4-jaw chuck. Well, I went to my metal lathe just now and it had the 3-jaw chuck on it, which means I was going to have to change it and put the 4-jaw on. Now my wood lathe, it already has a 4-jaw chuck and the spindle jaws were already attached. So I'm just going to use the wood lathe. I know it's not going to be as precise, but hey, this doesn't have to be precise. It just has to get the hole, you know, generally speaking, up the center of this blank. So I'm going to drill a pilot hole here, and hopefully that's going to help a little. I'm turning about 500 RPM right now, and I'm hoping it's going to center itself the way I'm hoping it will. Now, had I used my bandsaw, which has a narrower kerf than the table saw, to cut these, they might have matched up a little better. Now you notice especially like right here. Anyway, that's just a thought for next time. Also, I want to remember that if I go up to where the flutes end on that drill bit, it just barely makes it for the slimline. Well, let's get these glued in and turn it down and see what we've got. Now there's a couple of things I'd like you to notice here. First of all, do you notice how it's almost a perfect mirror image there? And the second thing is that I've got the brass tubes glued almost flush with the end of the blank. They're just recessed just maybe 128th of an inch, if that even. And that means I'm going to have to be super careful when I do the barrel trimmer thing. And actually there's another thing. I think the whole thing looks like an owl. Maybe I see owls because the owl is on the Calverley coat of arms. Now I'm sure you picked up on the reason why I want to have the brass tubes as close to the end as possible. And that is so that when I use the barrel trimmer like I've just done here, and you can hardly tell that I've had to do any at all, well, then I'm not changing the grain by going further in. Whereas on this end here, where I went further in, the grain will have changed a little bit. Now, needless to say, I want to make sure I get these two ends together like this. For some reason that's a tight fit. Maybe I didn't do a very good job of cleaning out the brass tube. Okay, that's that one. And, oops, forgot the bushing. And this one. And the bushing. And the locking nut, which may not actually be necessary on these blanks. There's not too much of a radius going on there. Okay, first we'll do this one. Once again, I've sanded up to 800 grit sandpaper. And right here where it counts, I've got it pretty good. It's, I'm right at the bushing. This end over here could have gone a little bit closer. That's okay there. But right here where it counts, I may as well say it's pretty well perfect. Okay, put on some wax. And once again, it's not going to change a whole lot from what you see there, except maybe a little bit more glossy. Oh my, that's smooth. Now I'm going to try something a little bit different. I've never done this before, but I'm going to see if I can line them up while they're still on the mandrel. So pull the tailstock off, and we'll remove the locking nut and that bushing. I'll take this off, remove this bushing, we'll put this back on. There. Now let's see if we can get it to line up somehow. I kind of think that's it. Whoops. Kind of hard to do here. I think it's supposed to go something like this. But you notice here, it's light there and it's dark there. All we needed was just a fraction of an inch difference, and it changed it. So I guess with a grain like this, you may as well say it's almost impossible to get it to perfectly line up. Well, tomorrow we press.